Aksai Chin is under Chinese control, but it is part of the Indian territory, has always been so. Also, there is some area which has been ceded by Pakistan to China illegally, through which the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, that is the CPEC, passes, but it is under the Indian territory. In the eastern sector, if you look at, Doklam Plateau is at the tri-junction of India, Bhutan and China. It oversees the Chinese Chumbi Valley and the Bhutan's Ha Valley, and also it borders the Sikkim state of India. There was a standoff in 2017 in Doklam also, although it was resolved amicably. The recent clash is regarding the western sector of the India-China border. And also, China claims a large part of Arunachal Pradesh and refuses to recognize the McMahon line in the eastern sector of the border. Now, let's look at the background of the India-China border dispute. Before 1962, China wanted India to recognize the Chinese sovereignty over Aksai Chin in exchange for recognizing McMahon line as the border in the eastern sector. But that would have meant to India letting go of its legitimate claims over Aksai Chin, and India did not do so. And after that, Nehru ordered the forward policy, as per which patrol posts were set up in the forward areas. Now this provoked China and it led to a clash in 1962, and the 1962 war happened. India's stand has always been a principled one, always been a consistent one, that Aksai Chin was and shall always remain an integral part of the territories of Ladakh as well as the Jammu and Kashmir. But in 2017, China tried to build some infrastructure. It tried to build a road in the Doklam region, because if China gets access to that region, that means it will have superiority in that sector also, because it is at a plateau. It is at an altitude from where the Chinese army can easily look into the Indian region also, and it will give it easy access to the Siliguri corridor, the Chicken Neck corridor, which is one of the weak points connecting India to its northeastern region. Now, since both India and Bhutan have an unequivocal stand that Doklam is part of the Bhutanese territory, therefore it was resisted, and subsequently China backed off, and the dispute or the standoff in Doklam, that was resolved amicably without any shots being fired. But such territorial claims have again been revived in the form of excursions by Chinese in the Ladakh region, and there have been some revived claims. First, let's understand why China is adopting such an aggressive stance on the border. Game theorists call it a slimy slicing tactic. The slimy slicing strategy is part of the Chinese strategy, where it makes small but steady inroads into the region, and it makes small territorial gains, and such small gains do not provoke a full-fledged confrontation and avoids a war also, but that way the message gets conveyed, and plus it gets some small territorial gains too. For example, in the Doklam region it tried to do so, in the Ladakh region also it tried to do the same thing. But some of the India steps have also been seen as a trigger within the Chinese domestic politics. For example, the upgrading of the border infrastructure by India, that is seen as a trigger in the Chinese political circles. Or even China claims that the change of the status quo in Jammu and Kashmir by making it two union territories, that is Ladakh and J&K, that is termed as a unilateral measure by India, as in the words of China. But that is none of Chinese business actually. It is an internal matter for India. Also, the Chinese-Pakistan economic corridor, it passes through the Karakoram region, and therefore it is criticized by New Delhi, and it affects India's sovereignty, and therefore Chinese want to adopt an aggressive stance on the border. Also, there has been the reported presence of the PLA troops in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir also. Plus, China thinks that it has conventional superiority in terms of the military power, and therefore it can easily make some small inroads, and it sees such measures as cost-effective, less costly measures to gain small territories. Plus, it has global aspirations. Earlier, it had the motto that build your capacities, bide your time. But now, under President Xi, China thinks that it has the opportune time right now to grow as a global power. For example, the countries are grappling with the COVID pandemic. Also, the global economy is in the doldrums. Globalization is in a crisis. So, China sees it as an opportune moment to become a global power. That is why it is taking an aggressive stance.